sorry if I'm late. I was just digging up my nan, and I'm now about to go get married to a monkey at the zoo. This is the point where I squeal,
April Fools, right?
wow, this is such a ridiculous day. So it seems perfect that this is the day we get back into the Premier League prediction series. And well, let me remind you of what the leaderboard looks like. I mean, last time out, Mark Goldbridge actually put enough points on the board so that this no longer looks like a complete total one-horse race. But in the end, his 68 points were not enough to drag Anfield Agenda off the top by his ears. And so I guess his predictions now look like a bigger waste of time than a KSI fight. But lads, a lot has happened since the last Premier League round. Namely, Newcastle United have won a trophy, and the entire city turned so black and white. The parade looked like a bunch of wobbly penguins drinking pints. But look, it's only fitting that for this week, let's invite Newcastle Fans TV onto the channel. I mean, you might remember them from me joining them for charity matches, where I scored banger after banger. But yes, please welcome Jonny Greenwood. Oh, I'll try not to make him angry.
Hello, Irish Guy. Hello to everybody watching. This is Jonny for Newcastle Fans TV. We are so pumped up for the rest of the season because Newcastle United won their first trophy in nearly 70 years. Their first domestic trophy in 70 years. Yep.
Yes! But come on then, are you going to be the one to finally overtake Anfield Agenda at the top? Or are you going to be like the other Newcastle fan channel and squirm to the bottom? Someone has got to do it, but go on then. If you top the leaderboard, what forfeit are you giving me?
If I win, my punishment for you is going to be wearing a full England kit with Jack Grealish on the back, but there's a twist.
You've been dead the whole time. No, sorry, wrong twist.
I want you to go to London, to go to every Premier League ground in London, basically as like a jog or a run, whatever you want to do. But the final ground is not Premier League, it is the home of football, it is Wembley. And I want you to be there at the Bobby Moore statue, arms out going, England are going to win the 2026 World Cup in your proud England top with Grealish on the back.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun? When right now, I'm nursing a broken toe. Seriously, I dropped a dumbbell on it. I'm such a donkey.
Good luck, because that will happen. It will happen.
This will happen? This will happen? Oh, so I guess this guy is the predictions king, is he? Arsenal versus Fulham.
Fulham are difficult to stop in the Premier League. It wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal drop points in this game, but I am going to go for the Gunners. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. Goals from Gabriel Martinelli, and I'm going to go for Gabriel with a corner. Jimenez to get Fulham's goal.
Well, this is weird. I'm also going for a 2-1 Arsenal win. Look, I can absolutely see the Gunners getting sloppy. When a team's title day crumbles away with months of the season left, players can subconsciously think, what's the point? Arsenal are not winning the Premier League title this season. So are they really going to have enough inner drive and motivation to what? Just finish above Nottingham Forest? I mean, sure, it would be embarrassing beyond belief if the genius managerial chosen one in Arteta was now finishing lower in the league than a sacked Spurs spud. But do these players really care that much about remaining in second? So yeah, I can see this being a sloppy match. 2-1. Rodrigo Muniz nets for Fulham. Leandro Trossard equalises for Arsenal before Bukayo Saka steps off the bench to score a late wonder goal, meaning that his dad, a Newcastle fan, really will have had the best month of his life. Yeah, I've spoken about Jacob Murphy being brought to Newcastle matches as a kid. Yeah, so was Saka. Why couldn't the Magpies have stolen Saka from Watford in 2008? His dad, Yomi, is a Nigerian magpie, who back then would have probably sold his son to kiss Obafemi Martins on the cheek. What a shame, because if Saka had wound up in the Newcastle Academy, oh, he'd be a Geordie rock star. Wolves versus West Ham.
Wolves versus West Ham. I think this could be a really difficult watch, if I'm being honest. West Ham have got absolutely nothing to play for. Wolves, they've still got something to play for because obviously they're not mathematically secure in terms of that relegation fight.
Probably. Jonny, there's more chance of a bumblebee flying in through this window, dressed in high heels and a miniskirt, than there is of Wolves going down, as the three promoted teams have been uglier than a pig's crotch.
If we're being honest, I think Wolves will probably edge you by 2-1. I'm going to go Eight Nori and Strand Larson. For West Ham, it'll be Jared Bowen.
So this man is backing a Wolves win. No, he's right. This will be a pretty forgettable match. It's 16th versus 17th. The two worst teams in the division outside of the promoted clubs. I mean, is it any surprise that Graham Potter is in charge of one of them, whilst Gary Neal has his fingerprints all over the other? I told you, both English managers are vanilla milk muffins. I mean, thankfully, we'll never hear from O'Neill again. His next job will probably just be grumpily fixing phones at a booth outside Tesco. But look, the Hammers have been quietly decent on the road recently, so I'm going to say 1-0 West Ham, Jared Bowen. But Johnny's right, it will be a horrible watch. Like, if this is in the first 2 games of Match of the Day, then I will eat 50 spoonfuls of butter. Nottingham Forest versus Man United.
Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. What a season for Nottingham Forest. They have been absolutely outstanding this season.
Shush!
I would even argue that Nuno Espirito Santo should be manager of the season over Arne Slot.
Nuno Santo has done a great job, I guess, but he's just done what Alan Pardew did at Newcastle.
They go into this game against Manchester United as favourites and comfortable favourites. Man United are going absolutely nowhere right now. They're a mess on the pitch, they're a mess off the pitch. I fancy Forest, and I fancy Forest to win this by 2-0. Morgan Gibbs-White and Elliot Anderson, the former Newcastle man.
3-2 Manchester United win. Don't ask me why, but I think Forest are going to crumble. They'll race into a 2-0 lead through Hudson-Odoi and Gibbs-White. But this is the moment they collapse. This is going to be a bit like that game in November 2019 when Sheffield United raced into a dream 2-0 lead against Manchester United, but then they collapsed and conceded 3. The exact same thing happened to Blackpool in January 2011. 2-0 up and lost. Manchester United have a history of doing this, so yeah, Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho and Højlund will break Forest hearts. Just you watch. This is going to be an epic Amorim win. I mean, aren't Forest usually scared of Manchester United, considering in the Premier League they've lost A1 through them at home when Ole came off the bench to get 4. This will not, I promise you, it will not, no way, be a Nottingham Forest win. This isn't even that outlandish. Man United came from 2-0 down to beat Nottingham Forest last season too. Forest are scarred. Bournemouth versus Ipswich.
Ipswich are going to have to go to places like Bournemouth and win. Draws aren't enough anymore, 9 points off Wolves. But I think Bournemouth will just be too strong. Ivan Nielsen is a fantastic striker. I really like the look of him. And I think Bournemouth will be playing in Europe next season.
Yes, Johnny, yes, that is what I like to hear. Bournemouth in Europe. Oh, doesn't that just sound beautiful?
I think they beat Ipswich by 2-1. Ivan Nielsen and Clivert with the goals for Bournemouth. For Ipswich, I'm going to go for that man, Liam Delap.
Well, as Ipswich have not played a match in over half a month. Bournemouth just had a long-busting, excruciating FA Cup gruel with Man City. And they lost, so I'm guessing the morale is going to be on the floor. So this should usually be a stonking 5-0 win for the Cherries. But Kieran McKenna's boys are going to have fresher legs. I think Ipswich will have plenty of chances to win this game, but I'm going to still say 1-0 Bournemouth, a late Clivert penalty. This is a game Ipswich should probably win, but no. They'll falter, and ultimately, that's them down. Sorry, lads, but if Ipswich do win, then I will do an entire video covered in marmalade. Brighton versus Aston Villa.
Brighton versus Aston Villa. This should be a really, really good game if you're a neutral. If you get to see this game, what a game this could be in prospect. Brighton play football the right way. I think Yankuba Minter, the former Newcastle man's been outstanding for Brighton. I really like the look of Estepinian on left back. I think he's severely underrated at times. I think he's been outstanding for Brighton. But they play football the right way. And
we get it, Johnny. You want to marry a seagull. But can we please have your predictions now?
I think it'll be a draw, and I think it'll be 2-2. The goals for Brighton, I'm going to go for Yankuba Minter.
Lads, I remember at the start of the season when Lee Judges just picked as many former Arsenal players as he could remember. He was even backing Reece Nelson to score, which makes about as much sense as eating an earwax lollipop. And now Johnny with Anderson, with Minte. I'm half expecting to see him pick Charles Zogby before the video is done.
And I'm also going to go for... I'm going to go Lewis Dunk header, bit rogue. And then for Aston Villa, I'm going to say Marcus Rashford. And I'm going to go for Asensio to get the goals for Aston Villa in that 2-2 draw.
Interesting. I'm going for a Brighton win. I know they sign new players in January, sure, but lads, Aston Villa have cramped 18 games into 2025 so far. How are they not completely exhausted? Christ above. These players are absolutely going to be watching their legs because they've got an incredibly winnable FA Cup semi-final against Crystal Palace coming up, as well as a Champions League quarter-final against PSG. Is this real life? If they beat both Crystal Palace and PSG, then suddenly that's an FA Cup final and a probable Champions League semi-final against Real Madrid. This is the most exciting month to be a Villa fan, and I'm convinced those players are just going to give up on the Prem. They don't want to risk injuries. They don't want to chuck in a risky tackle that will lead to a suspension. They don't want to snap their hammy trying to close down Danny Welbeck. No, these Villa players are only living for the cups and the trophies and the glory. They do not care about whether or not they finish 6th. So yeah, 3-0 Brighton win. Matoma, Minter, and even Matt O'Reilly. Villa's heads are elsewhere. Man City versus Leicester.
Next up should be the easiest game to predict. Manchester City against Leicester City.
Yeah, Man City and Leicester feel like they're on different planets, don't they? But isn't it absolutely mental to think that just 5 years ago, that Leicester rocked up to Pep's Etihad and scored 5? That's actually bonkers to think because now, Leicester are turning up to Man City, having not scored a goal in months.
Manchester City, they're going to be so strong for Leicester. Leicester are poor, particularly in midfield. I think they're really weak and don't really offer a lot. I think Leicester will play a 5-5. Man City will be too strong. Haaland might not play, but they'll still win by 4-0 with 2 goals from Mamouche, Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne.
You know what? No. Man City just had a grueling trip to Bournemouth in the FA Cup. I don't think this will be totally easy. I mean, no, it will, because Leicester will offer absolutely nothing going forward. I mean, if Jamie Vardy scores against Man City, then forget about the ice cream bucket in the bath. Oh no, I will do that forfeit in the middle of a public street. It ain't gonna happen. But I think City will produce a pretty tired display, and yeah, 1-0 Omar Mamouche. Newcastle versus Brentford.
Newcastle versus Brentford. Now, Newcastle coming off an absolute high, winning their first cup since 70 years ago.
It was amazing. Lads, when I was coming back into Newcastle train station after the Wembley weekend, I was tackled. I thought I was being mugged. Turns out it was this guy giving me a massive bear hug. Yes, I've had more hugs from Jonny than my mum. Maybe I should have sent him a card for Mother's Day. Maybe I should have been going around his house for lasagna and chips. He wouldn't let me into his house. Look, that was an incredible weekend. The city is still bouncing. St. James's Park is going to be absolutely electric. But I think Newcastle slip up.
I think Newcastle will just be too strong for Brentford. It'll be 2-1 Newcastle, with Alexander Isak getting both the goals for Newcastle. And for Brentford, it'll be Johan Visser.
No, I think it's going to be very hard to motivate the Newcastle players, actually. As crazy as it sounds, because they just reached the top of their mountain. They've been to Wembley and won. I mean, the players have been celebrating for 2 weeks. Brentford, though, have been preparing for this match. I think the Magpies squeak a 1-1 draw. Isak and Mbemo. But as Brentford will be unlucky not to win. Southampton versus Crystal Palace.
Southampton come to be the worst team in the league and could be the worst team ever. Southampton are just dreadful though, like absolutely dreadful, like really bad. They still need a win to beat Derby's record. That's not going to happen against Crystal Palace. Yeah,
Jonny is desperate for Southampton to become the worst ever Premier League team because it would mean that it's no longer true then that Newcastle United are the only team to lose to the worst Premier League side of all time, Derby County in 2007. I mean, the Magpies were minutes away from losing at home to Derby as well, having to be saved in the 87th minute by Mark Viduka. Sam Allardyce, the future England manager, was 3 minutes away from having the worst ever Premier League team doing the double over him before Christmas. That's actually inexplicable.
Crystal Palace will win this. They'll win this by 2-0 with Eze and Mateta.
Look, I think Southampton win here and officially finally move above Derby County's historically awful 11 points on the board, because Palace again just played out an exhausting FA Cup quarter-final. The players will have one eye on the semi-final. The fans are dreaming about Wembley. They don't care about a trip to Southampton. So 2-1 Southampton. A goal for Eze for Palace, but Joe Aribo equaliser for Southampton and a late winner from Cameron Archer. Liverpool versus Everton.
Moyes will put out a difficult task for Liverpool's attackers. But when you've got Mo Salah in the form he's at, wanting to win a Premier League title for Liverpool with the fans by his side, yeah, I think that'll just be a bit too much. So I think Liverpool will win by 2-0. Mo Salah and Cody Gakpo for Liverpool.
Funny you say that, Jonny. The form Salah is in. Whisper it quietly, but hasn't the Egyptian king been a little bit off the boil? I think this will be the exact same story at Goodison Park. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think Salah will score a penalty in a pretty nervous match, but Jake O'Brien will copy Jagielka and Tarkowski and net an outrageous last-gasp equaliser. I mean, I think Liverpool fans probably feel the second half of the season has become pretty anticlimactic because they were on course for a treble and now, well, they've had the Premier League title wrapped up for months. So what do they do now? Back in 2020, they let their standards slip, having won a ridiculous 26 of their opening 27 matches. But then they were getting spanked by both Watford and Man City. They failed to beat Everton away or Burnley at home. And they lost to a distinctly average Arsenal as well. I think the same here. I think the Reds would have an inconsistent run and yeah, they'll fail to beat Everton, meaning their lead at the top will be cut 10 points. Relax. Chelsea versus Tottenham.
Chelsea, very much Jekyll and Hyde if you like, but it's Spurs. So Spursy right now, and I know there's a few Spurs fans, but I'm really sorry, but Tottenham are so Spursy, it's ridiculous.
Tottenham fans are not going to like this one, Jonny.
The Europa League's their bread and butter right now. They need to win that, and I don't think they'll win that either, but Chelsea at home I think will be a bit strong. I think Chelsea will win by 2-0. I think the goal scorers are going to be, I'm going to go for Enzo Fernandez, and I'm going to go for Cole Palmer.
Look, Chelsea are in pretty horrible form lately, and I think Tottenham get a smash and grab win. Chelsea will miss a host of chances, but yes, old boy Dominic Solanke will tap in a sensational late winner for Spurs for the club's first win at Stamford Bridge since April Fool's Day 2018. By the way, that reminds me, I'm off to eat a squirrel.
So yeah, those are my predictions. This is Jonny from Newcastle Fans TV. If you can like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, that would be greatly appreciated.
Anyway, that is the end of the video. Big thank you to Jonny for coming on. What a great guy. Honestly, I've known him for years. Great lad. And actually, a good goalie. But yeah, anyway, thank you, Jonny, coming on. Go subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV. Great channel out there. Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, that is the end of the prediction series. Who's going to win this one? Are you going to do better than the Magpie channel? Oh, I hope so. Because that was spectacularly bad. Sorry, Maddie, but it was. Anyway, let me know. Who do you want on as the next guest? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.